Broadkaster. Yes.
It's like a piece of art.
I love it. I've been waiting for this kit for a long time. We ordered this kit, would have been probably September, October last year.
Yeah, right.
And obviously with all the stuff with COVID, there were just delays, raw material shortages. I think Gretch factory shut down for a period of time, and
Wow, okay.
so it's finally here. We finally got a Broadkaster on the floor, which is
Honestly, I love. Look, if there is a reissue kit of any reissue kit that's available, I'd say this has got to be on the top of my list.
they're one of the nicest shells out there of any company, any shell. That's one of the best sounding kits you'll find out there.
Gretch Broadkaster.
It's a cool name.
I love it. You ready to do it?
And spelt with a K instead of a C.
Okay.
Broadkaster. It's like it's got a harsher note to it.
It's German. It's Gretch Broadkaster.
And their cool logo.
It's just pretty. I just like sitting here looking at it.
That real kind of old school logo. Yeah, it's much
Round
cooler
badge.
than the offset logo that you see on the US Customs. That's just a real classy look. The round badge, everything about it. Should we get up there and have a chat about it?
Let's do it. Love it.
They're all just reaching for a piece of you.
Hey everyone, welcome. Killer Drums TV. I'm Tony Moore and this is Jackie Barnes, partner in crime. We're at Mooloolaba Music and we want to introduce you to this beautiful drum set. Jackie, what have we got in the house?
We have a Gretsch Broadkaster. We've been waiting a long time for this kit. It's finally here. I'm very excited. Yeah.
I love it. We're just admiring it before. We genuinely just sat down there for probably, 30 minutes talking about this drum set between ourselves. So we thought we'd start this episode sitting there doing what we normally do, just admiring this drum set. It's actually a beautiful drum set. And in our series on retro drums, what better to do than a reissue of something that was made back when?
They were kind of like from the 20s.
That's incredible.
Through the 50s, 1920s that is. And they created that classic Gretsch sound.
They're quite revered. I remember watching Matt Chamberlain do a comparison between his original Broadkaster and his the new one, the retro one. And I seriously was listening through my Neumann monitors and going, I can barely tell a noticeable difference. And even what difference there was, they both sound incredible.
They're beautiful drums. One of the main things I find when I sit behind, especially the US-made Gretsch kits, the response you get as the player is incredible. Like
a lot of love comes out. Hey,
you really feel the drums, and you get that kind of. You hear a lot back. There are certain drum sets you sit behind that you hit and they might sound great out the front of the kit, but you're not necessarily getting a lot of feedback from the player's perspective.
Yeah.
These give you a lot.
It's a little bit like the A&F though, wasn't it? Hey, the A&F, and there's something these kind of have in common.
It's a similar idea with the bearing edge. So bearing edge is where you get your contact with your drum head and determines the kind of sound you're going to get. And so you've got what's called a reverse roundover bearing edge on these, pretty straight on the inner, or pretty much no inner cut.
No inner cut,
and it's just one of those things that Gretsch have done forever on the Broadkasters. The silver sealer paint that they use has,
magical properties.
It's always given them a particular sound. It fills in some of the pores of the wood and allows a certain resonance. But it's not like a lacquer resonance where...
No, it's not bright, it's very warm.
Bright, it's a warm resonance. So there's something about that silver sealer, something about that edge.
Yeah.
There's just something about that Gretsch sound. That's why it's the thing. That great Gretsch sound is what they call it. That's,
a lot of jazz players, Tony Thompson, all those guys are all playing this kind of stuff.
These are...
beautiful.
Yeah, these are... beautiful drums.
So the shell, I had the head off before and I was looking at it. It looks like a 3-ply.
Yep, 3-ply maple, poplar, maple.
Yeah. So the outer are quite thin, and the inner, which again as a drum maker, I'm like, ooh, what are they doing different that makes these sound so good? And that inner core is actually a vertical grain,
yeah.
all the way around. It's probably about 3-4 mil thick. So vertical grain, and then it's got an outer and an inner layer of maple. And that's what's giving it all that presence.
Yep.
Beautiful.
Yep.
I'd like to just hit something. Not me.
Yeah, because you'll hear they're lively and they're just beautiful sounding. So let's hear the toms. I'll turn the snare wires off this snare.
Yeah, that's nice.
They've just got a beautiful natural tone.
It's a very pure note, which is really that bearing edge with a straight column on the inside of the shell. Head comes up and it's straight down. It's very pure in tone because there's no overtones, really, and you can hear it right there.
Yeah, and when you tune these drums up, to me they find their place really quickly in the sonic spectrum, and they're really lovely to tune up.
How's that low end?
Yeah.
Let's hear it. Whoa, I love it.
And just like it's got the right length of note, you know?
Yeah.
Let's
hear the kick.
Beautiful. Oh, this kick sounds phenomenal.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
It's a very satisfying.
That's great. So that's 2214.
2214, 12 by 8, 16 by 16.
Yep.
And one of those things with Gretsch, they've just always done it, the 5 lug rack toms.
Yeah, and that always puzzled me for years. I used to think, why do a 5 lug? And that was just because we're conditioned.
I think it was because, in that kind of when jazz drummers were like a real kind of, they were the main drummers going around in like the 40s, 50s.
Yeah.
You had, a lot of those guys weren't making a lot of money.
Yep.
And I think it was a cost-cutting measure originally. I believe so. Anyway, that's what I've heard.
It's exactly what it was.
Less lugs, less cost.
Yeah.
They were able to provide these working drummers with a drum set with a little bit of a saving. So I think that was one of those things, and then it just became.
Well, there was an interesting thing. A couple of people have done a remake of a drum with a 6 lug. So same shell, just plotted out with a 6 lug, and found that it actually choked the tone more because there were more lugs, more
mass,
hardware,
more mass, and we've spoken about that.
We
at
have,
length.
yeah. So for jazz drummers, I can see why they really liked keeping with that 6.
And there's a reason why these rack toms especially sound great tuned in the higher notes.
Higher notes,
I call that's kind of a mid to high right there.
Yeah.
But they really sing at that high tuning range, and they don't choke out.
This is like as far as I shouldn't call them mass produced, but production drum sets. Mm-hmm. This has got to be one of the ones that are right up there with a lot of love, isn't it? Like you can really feel, you can just feel the stuff coming off the drums.
There's personality.
There is, yeah.
And these are high-end US-made drums. They're gorgeous.
Now we've got a snare here. Now this isn't Broadkaster. What's this one?
This is a Brooklyn chrome over steel. It's a 14 by 5.5.
It's great. Now I love the mechanism. Because you get a full drop.
Yep.
Like there's nothing worse than a snare mech. You turn it off and it buzzes and rattles.
And you've got like it kind of sits kind of, I'd say 3/4 off.
Yeah.
And you can push it down. You can push it down a little bit more if you want.
Yeah, I like that. It's so simple.
It's simple.
Beautiful.
And then you've got your adjustment on the butt.
Let's hear that. That's
this snare. So with the snare wires off.
Yeah. Yeah,
nice. That the steel is nice. It's got a nice amount of ring with the snare wires on. You're going to find it's. Yeah, this is a nice snare.
The pocket. Yeah, that's great.
It's just a
really fat.
This is a heavy snare drum. It's a heavy.
So what do you reckon about 2 mil, 3 mil?
I'll have to look that up.
For
have to-
weight-wise, it would probably have to be up there.
Yeah, it's a pretty
We'll put
heavy
the
drum.
spec. We'll get
put
the spec and drop it on there.
But and you know these aren't that expensive. You know, I think they're $500-600 or something.
Australian,
You know,
yeah,
they're not a super expensive drum.
Yeah.
Workhorse.
Yeah,
They've got
that's a
the-
great
yeah.
sounding drum for the money.
Yep.
And you got trusty old UFIP cymbals in place.
Yep, I've got my natural series
Yep.
here. These are my own
Yes.
cymbals. I travel a lot with the natural series. They're just a great all-rounder. 15-inch natural light hats.
Yep.
I've got a 19-inch natural crash,
Beauty.
21-inch crash ride,
Yep.
and a 20-inch crash.
Yeah, nice.
They're just very versatile, a little bit dark, but
Yep.
not too dry.
Yeah.
They're still vibrant enough to kind of be aggressive when they're needed to be.
Yeah.
You know, I can open up on these and they don't choke out.
Yeah.
But you know, overheads love them. These are beautiful cymbals. So
And we're finding for the retro series that we're kind of doing now, we've fallen into a retro series now. Woo! But we're just going to stick with these on the retro series, so you
Yeah.
can kind of hear the difference in drums, but the cymbals and the player
remain the same. Yeah.
all remain the same. So, mate, I just want to hear it. So how about let's hear them. I'll jump
Let's
on the
hear 'em?
lounge
Yeah?
and
All right.
strike up the band.
Let's do it.
Oh, Jackie, that's sweet. Kick drums, fat as.
This whole kit
Now,
is...
you were having fun. I thought we were going to be here till midnight. Actually, it's almost midnight.
It's probably the longest demo I've done. Yeah, I just wanted to keep playing.
That snare, $500, man.
Whew. It's a great drum.
It sounded great. I loved it. Loved it, loved it, loved it. Well, guys, that's the Broadkaster. So this particular kit is available at the minute. It might be snapped up at Mooloolaba Music.
By one of us.
By one of us, probably. Another one to the nest.
Yes. A cool little feature which we optioned on this one is we've got tone control on both batter and reso.
Yep. And that's the old school version, isn't it? The remake, yeah. So like a little T piece on the inside.
Yeah. Yeah. So and actually, should we?
All right, let's crack one open. Yep.
Let's have a look. So you can actually see it there.
Yeah.
You can see the old school.
Yeah. So if we just wind him up, and it just presses up on the head. Great little system. This is the bearing edge. If you can see in here, really close. That little tiny fine one there, that's the inner, and it's about at 1 mil, and I reckon that's probably 4 mil.
Yeah.
A 4 mil of a vertical core, which is why there's so much sustain in these toms.
Yeah. And wow, these are cool. And then the bass drum has tone control on the front and rear. And on the batter as well. And that's that old school kind of the felt strip that runs down the inside of the head. Yeah. And it kind of pulls off and can be pressed onto the drum. So
yeah, it's beautiful.
Gold round badge logo there.
I love the little the embossing.
Yeah, and the 302 hoops are phenomenal as well.
Beautiful. It's kind of they're
almost like a double flange kind of vibe.
Yeah, it is a double. Yeah, they I guess with the 302, it's not quite die cast and it's not quite a triple flange, is it? It's got a little bit more bite.
And they're a bit sharper, so they're stick chopper I think they call them.
They do, you used to call them stick chopper. They're probably not as bad as those stick choppers.
Yeah, but there's no flange on the top, so they're just a straight, straight metal there coming up.
Anyway, we love this kit. This kit's really good.
It's a timeless. They're a timeless series. The Broadcasters will be. They're one of those drum sets that'll be cool forever.
Well, if it's 1920s, we're looking almost 100 years.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just incredible.
And Gretch recently celebrated their 135th anniversary a few years ago. So, they've been doing it a long time. So they know what they're doing.
Beautiful drums. Well, thanks for sharing this one. That's great. Hey, guys, we'll keep rolling with our retro, whatever we're calling that. Yeah. But it's going to be retro something. And this is the Broadcaster. Thank you for watching Killer Drums. Jackie Barnes. I'm Tony Moore, and we'll catch you on the next one.